Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I'm Hilmarie Hutchison, and today I am so thrilled to have a truly inspiring guest and a voice many might recognize. He's a passionate musician, a self-made audiopreneur, and the founder of JH Audio and Consulting. Having grown up in the UAE, he took a leap of faith into the audio industry, blending his love for music with entrepreneurship, and has become a dynamic force in the region's rapidly evolving audio landscape. Please join me in welcoming Joe El Hage, the creator and host of the Voices of Dubai podcast. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Hilmarie. What an amazing introduction, and thank you very much for having me on your show.
So to kick things off, could you tell us a little bit about your background and also what first sparked your passion for music?
I grew up in a musical family where karaoke nights at home were a part of weekend fun. Even in my extended family, I had cousins who played the violin, guitar, bass, drums, and piano. Music was really always part of my life. It was actually a running joke in the family that we could start our own family orchestra. I remember very clearly, I was about 7 or 8, was in my dad's car. We were listening to a Pink Floyd song. It was either Comfortably Numb or Shine On You, Crazy Diamond. I don't remember exactly. All I know is that it had one of those amazing Pink Floyd solos. My dad asked me if I ever wanted to play the guitar. Of course, I was very eager. The next day, my parents bought me my first classical guitar, and I started playing at the age of 8. So that's when really my passion for music was ignited in a way.
Wow, what an incredible start. I love it. Karaoke nights for weekend fun. I cannot think of anything worse. You don't want to hear me sing, but I love it. You come from a musical family. You could have your own family orchestra. I come from the background where we could have had our own sports teams.
Nice.
What an incredible start into the music business. From there, 8 years old, you're starting to play. What was the next step for you?
Playing the guitar opened a universe for me, a new universe. I first started playing pop and rock, so things like Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, Dire Straits, and a bit later I started to experiment with blues and eventually heavy metal. Over time, I realized that music to me wasn't just entertainment and showmanship. It was also a way for me to really disconnect from the pressures of life and truly relax. From that moment, I would dedicate the next 2 decades plus exploring sound on much deeper level, which eventually brought me to call myself an audiopreneur.
I love that. Okay, I want to hear all about the audiopreneur, but first of all, I love that you've got such a wide genre of music that you love. I mean, that's quite a big jump from blues to heavy metal.
Indeed.
Let's hear about audiopreneur. Can you explain to our audience what is an audiopreneur?
The way I see an audiopreneur is obviously someone who is very passionate about the world of audio, sound, and music, and puts that passion into strategic steps for companies, for brands, for personal brands, to help them connect more with their audience on a deeper level.
Very interesting. Already a fantastic journey from 8 years old to co-founding a death metal band in Montreal. You then took a leap of faith from industrial engineering to pursuing a career in audio. What was the turning point that made you decide to follow your passion for music and sound over a more traditional career path?
It wasn't really a turning point itself. I think it was a gradual process for me. See, 2 years into my degree in industrial engineering, I realized that something was missing in my life. In parallel, of course, I had my death metal band and we used to play gigs. That was one part of my life that I really enjoyed. At the end, I decided to really continue my program and graduate before investing myself 100% to music. Call it the law of attraction or me just being at the right place at the right time. During my last year of university, I was also working full-time at Recording Arts Canada, which was a school dedicated to teaching people the art and science of sound and music recording. And I remember that moment clear as day. My boss called me one day into his office, sat me down and said, "Thank you, Joe. Your work has been awesome. We love your enthusiasm and the energy you bring. But first, I want to say that it has nothing to do with your performance or anything, but we're going to have to fire you." So, of course, that came as a surprise to me. That layoff also came with a gift, because he continued and he said that they are ready to offer me a 25% discount on their program, the sound and music recording program. And thanks to the fact that I had an engineering degree, I applied for financial aid, and the government awarded me a grant for the remaining 75% of the tuition. From that moment, I absolutely knew that I needed to build a career around music and sound. Of course, taking that leap wasn't easy. It was clear to me that this is what I was meant to do.
Incredible. You were almost pushed into it in a way, from getting into that and then being laid off from your position and having almost no choice. But as you say, it was a gift to then get you to take the next step. What happened next?
Next, I continued tour with my bands. I was playing in 2 tribute bands as well as an original band. Once I finished and I graduated from Recording Arts Canada, I would continue to play gigs across the country, record a couple of EPs, play music with a lot of different musicians, all the while looking for a full-time position as a sound engineer. A year and a half into my search for a job in Canada, I remember once in December, I came to visit my parents who were in Abu Dhabi for Christmas. I heard a friend of my dad's had a studio in Dubai. They were just happy to receive me for an interview and see if there was any opportunities. After meeting with them and going back to Canada, I didn't hear from them for the next 3-4 months. And then they called me in April saying that they'd like to hire me and they'd like to start immediately. Imagine, to my surprise, I had to pack everything in 3 weeks and move from Montreal, where I spent 8 years, back to Dubai to start that new job, which I did. I started in May 2015 at Montage TV Productions as a sound engineer.
Your life certainly took many unexpected twists and turns along the way.
Indeed.
And again, a leap of faith, because now you were leaving what you had become used to, your band, the things that was now home for you, to make another big move back to Dubai.
Indeed.
Then the next big step for you was starting the Voices of Dubai podcast, which highlights diverse voices in the region. What inspired you to create this platform?
In the beginning, for me, the Voices of Dubai was really born out of my passion and my love for recording voiceovers. So since 2015 up until today, actually, I have the pleasure and opportunity to work with amazing voiceover talent from across the world, really. Initially, my idea for the Voices of Dubai was to showcase famous voices and uncover their faces. Because when you're recording and when you're behind the microphone, people don't really know who's the face behind the specific brand. So my first goal was to uncover these faces, these hidden gems that we find in Dubai and that we hear in Dubai, whether on TV or on radio, or even on the phone when we call banks, for example. So that was my initial goal with the Voices of Dubai. But as I started to record the first couple of episodes, something clicked in my mind and I told myself, I realized that, wait a second, everybody has a voice in a way. Everybody has a unique story to share. What went from uncovering voiceover talent and radio presenters and TV presenters went much bigger into uncovering entrepreneurs, CEOs, business leaders, and anyone with an inspiring story to share.
I love that. And that is how our podcasts really overlap in that way, because that is also really the audience that the kinds of people that we interview on this podcast. So fantastic. I love that. You've worked for major brands like Etihad, Airways and Maastricht Bank to craft audio identities for them. Could you please share a bit more about how businesses can use sound and music to enhance their brands?
Sound, to me, really has the power to instantly to recall feelings and memories in ways that text and visuals simply can't. For example, when you turn on your MacBook or turn on Netflix or even start a movie, that sound you hear that we all recognize instantly, that's the power of sonic branding. When brands use sound strategically, it really helps to reinforce their identity. It helps them to build emotional connections, trust, and loyalty with their audience. For example, working on sonic logos or even original music or even voiceovers, that would really help brands communicate on a deeper and more emotional level with their audience.
Absolutely fascinating. I don't think too many people realize that the nuance of having that music, because as you say, it brings back memories. It fosters that familiar feeling. So sonic branding, so important for companies or for businesses or for brands to understand the importance of using sound strategically to help build their identity and foster that trust. I don't think too many people are aware of the importance of that.
No, but I'm happy that in the region right now, people and brands are becoming more and more aware of the importance of sound. More importantly, is that when you add another dimension to visuals or text, when you add the auditory dimension, you are essentially adding another sense. And it's been proven scientifically that the more senses you bring up in your advertising, your marketing, or communications, the more likely you are to be remembered by people who are watching your show or listening to your ad or listening to your voice.
You speak of a show. If you're watching a series, for example, they have that intro and that you can hear it. You don't even have to see it and you know exactly what it is that's about to come on.
Absolutely.
I've never really associated that with traditional brands.
For example, if I sing these notes to you, Hilmarie, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it. Can you tell who the brand is?
I recognize it 100%.
You got it on the tip of your tongue, I bet. It's McDonald's.
Ah, yes, of course. McDonald's. Yes, you're right. So there are big brands who, maybe I mustn't say big brands, there are definitely brands who are using the sound. I had not actually thought about it in that way, but you're right. McDonald's has that sound without you even having to see anything. Amazing. Do you have another example?
Absolutely. Netflix. Ta-dum.
Yes.
Or, for example, let's use a musical example. Pirates of the Caribbean. Do you remember their intro music? They're very inspiring and epic intro music.
You're the musician. You'll have to make it for us.
Okay, what about the intro to Game of Thrones?
Oh, yes, 100%. That's what I was saying earlier. I think series and movies and even movie houses, you know, the lion roaring.
Exactly. That's MGM.
GM, exactly. Pixar, those guys all have a sound. Closing your eyes, you can say, okay, I know exactly who made this. I think movies I use this branding sound for a long time, but I think it's maybe more for brands, it's becoming more common. Like you gave us the example of McDonald's. Fascinating. It's a whole nother world for people who are not consciously realizing, that sound goes with that brand. Do you have any other traditional brands that we might not even think about?
The MacBook. When you turn on your MacBook, you have that chime, that intro chime.
Interesting. I don't use Macs.
Or even Windows. When you switch on or switch off your computer, you get that sound.
Yes. Very interesting.
What else? Skype. When you're calling someone on Skype.
Yes, it has that Skype sound, yes.
Or the famous Nokia ringtone that is no longer available, but everybody knows that Nokia ringtone, right?
Yes, for sure. It has been used. And for sure, it's important for brands to realize the power of using sound to associate that with their brand, to, again, as we said earlier, to build that brand identity and trust with their audiences. So fascinating. Thank you for a little education on the importance and the use of sound for businesses.
My pleasure.
Let's change direction a little bit again. Dubai's first music city has just launched, marking a new era for the region's music industry. What does this mean for aspiring musicians and audio entrepreneurs in the UAE?
I was born and raised in the UAE, played my first gig here, and also formed my first band in this amazing country. The launch of Dubai's Music City is a total game changer. It's yet another bold move that proves that this country and the region is becoming an important player in the music industry. That means that there's going to be more opportunities, more resources, and more platforms for local and international musicians to come and showcase their talents and their work. I also believe that it really shows the importance of the music industry, and it allows for new performances or places to play that weren't as accessible before.
So Dubai, again, is positioning itself as a global music hub, and this is going to provide unique opportunities for musicians and audio professionals. Your story is about embracing risk and following your passion. What advice would you give to young entrepreneurs who are thinking about leaping into the unknown, especially in industries like music and audio?
I think my biggest piece of advice is to be strategic in everything that you do. Passion is great. If you have passion, it's definitely something that will drive you. But planning and being strategic will make sure that you're on course and that you reach your desired end goal. Now, of course, life is unexpected. Life throws unexpected challenges, twists and turns, and success is not a straight line. It's not linear. Also, keep learning, keep improving, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That's a very important one that I heard from Jim Rohn. He's the one who quoted it. It never left my mind since I heard it. I really love that. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job, because you can only show up to your clients, to your family, to people you love and you work with as far as you are mentally. Am I making sense?
Absolutely. I love it. I think that is absolutely brilliant advice. Be strategic, even while passion is great. Planning will help you reach your goal. Invest in yourself, take care of yourself, then you can show up for others, whether that's clients or for family. Excellent advice. Thank you so much for sharing that.
My pleasure. I got one more, actually, now that I think about it. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because there is no perfect moment. I would say just take action. Once you have written down your goals and your strategy, start by taking action immediately, even if it's something really small. For example, let's say I put on my to-do list, okay, since I'm moving countries now, I want to look for a new band. Okay, what are the steps to look for a new band? Step 1, create a video of me playing a couple of known songs. Step 2, look for groups on Facebook, on the internet, where you can join and showcase your work, connect with other musicians. Be strategic and take action.
I love your advice. Don't wait for things to be perfect. There's a quote that says, done is better than perfect.
Absolutely.
Super. Excellent. Well, Joe, now we've come to another fun part of our show, the little segment we like to call the Green Pill Game Show. So here I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, name one song that always gets you pumped.
Always gets me pumped. Laid to Rest by Lamb of God.
Describe your career journey in one word.
Audiopreneur.
If you could collaborate with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be?
Jimi Hendrix.
Dubai or Montreal? Where does your heart feel more at home?
Dubai and the UAE in general.
What is one thing that you do every day, no matter how busy you get?
Go to the gym and play guitar.
Super. Well, thank you for playing along. That wasn't too difficult. Now I would like to ask you our signature question about your green pill moment. What green pill advice would you give to your younger self?
I would first say, don't doubt yourself. Success doesn't happen overnight. The road to success is not a smooth and linear path. There are going to be ups and downs, but be patient, be persistent, and don't worry about failures. Every failure is just a lesson. That's the tricky part about life, because life gives you the experience and then it gives you the lesson. Looking back, if I had to say that to my younger self, I'd tell my younger self not to worry about mistakes, just to embrace them, keep learning, and keep improving. Also, never to underestimate the power of relationships. So whether it's building a strong network of musicians, mentors, people that inspire you, will really help in both your personal growth and your professional growth and professional success.
I love that advice. It's also excellent advice for parents, because we want to protect our kids from failures. We want to make the path smooth for them. By doing that, we are taking away those opportunities for them to learn from failures. And I think that is brilliant advice that you've given to your younger self, to understand that there will be failures, there will be ups and downs, but to look for the lesson and how do you grow from that. And if we take those opportunities away from our kids as well, we are taking something very important away from them. Also loved your advice about building a strong network. I think that can also help us through those difficult times. So excellent. Thank you so much for sharing your incredible and truly inspiring story with us today. I have no doubt that our listeners, especially aspiring entrepreneurs and creatives, will find so much value in your journey and your advice.
So happy to hear that.
Before we wrap up, could you let our listeners know where they can find and follow you? And we'll also put this in the show notes.
Absolutely. So I'm mainly active on LinkedIn. My handle is Audio Joe. On Instagram, it's JHAudioAE in one word. And my website, jhaudio.ae.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I will definitely be following your amazing journey and watching all the amazing things that you are going to continue to do. And I wish you continued success.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity and for having me as a guest. And I also wish you continued success in your podcast.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And to all our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode and found Joe's story as compelling as I did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Maastricht Greenpool podcast. Let's keep these inspiring conversations going.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.